If you thought our current teams were crazy, just wait until you see this. We really need to talk about what's coming next because it is absolutely going to blow your mind. Hiyuki's final kit details have officially dropped, and let me tell you, she is looking completely unhinged. We are looking at someone who might just claim the throne as the absolute strongest DPS unit in our entire roster right now. But before we dive into the absolute madness that is Hiyuki's kit, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel out a lot, and it ensures you never miss out on these early theory crafting deep dives so your account is always ahead of the curve. Okay, picture this. You're diving into the hardest content, and your main damage dealer doesn't even care about energy recharge. Sounds fake, right? Well, that is Hiyuki in a nutshell. She completely flips how we usually build our teams. She operates as an on-field main DPS for the Glacio element, but her entire damage profile is built around a super unique, nasty little debuff she slaps on enemies called Glacio Chafe. Hear me out, because this is where it gets incredibly fun. Think of Glacio Chafe like a ticking time bomb. Every single time you apply this status to a boss, they take a direct hit of Glacio damage, and you can stack this bad boy all the way up to 10 times. And here is the kicker. The damage ceiling just goes completely through the roof the higher those stacks climb. Once you reach the magic number 10, the enemy gets totally frozen in place, the stacks reset, and you get to start the party all over again. Now, let's break this down together because her gameplay loop revolves around a double fort system that sounds Galaxy Super-brain at first, but is actually super smooth. Instead of worrying about energy, you are managing a gauge called dedication during her normal stance. This bar maxes out at 300 points, and filling it is a total breeze. When you swap her in with her intro skill, you immediately drop one stack of that Glacio Chafe bomb. Then, hitting a skill right after your intro gives you a massive 200 dedication points instantly. From there, your normal attack skips straight to stage 3, handing you the last 100 points you need. So your bread and butter opening combo is literally just intro, skill, basic attack. Boom, your bar is full. Once you have that dedication maxed out, you just hold down your normal attack to launch a heavy attack. This eats up all your dedication and instantly triggers her first liberation. Yes, you heard me right. Zero energy required, very much like how Flova plays, just executing crispy combos to unleash your ultimates. Plus, this first liberation instantly slaps 4 more stacks of Glacio Chafe on the enemy. Combined with her intro, you are sitting at 5 stacks in the blink of an eye. After that first liberation pops off, Hiyuki enters sicko mode, officially known as her S stance. While you are vibing in this stance, you're going to be weaving basic attacks and skills together to build up her second forte gauge. This one generates stacks of a buff called Whiteout Bitter Frost. You only need to collect 3 of these stacks. Once you have your 3 stacks of Bitter Frost, you hold your basic attack down again. It takes about 2 seconds to charge, and then she unleashes her second liberation, followed immediately by her outro skill. To summarize her entire rotation so you can practice it in your head. Swap in with intro, hit your skill, and do a stage 3 normal attack. Hold your attack to trigger the first liberation. Go crazy spamming normal attacks and skills in the new stance until you get 3 stacks. Hold your attack again to trigger the second liberation, then outro and swap. It is so fluid and satisfying. Hey, real quick before we get into the crazy team building and weapon setups, if you love breaking down these kits and talking meta, you should absolutely join our Discord server. We are running a really cool little giveaway in there right now, and it's the perfect place to chat with like-minded players. All the info to join is down in the description below. Come hang out! Alright, let's talk about her team setups, because Hiyuki is a bit of a diva when it comes to her inherent skills, and she demands a very specific squad to reach her maximum potential. Her first inherent skill is an absolute monster. It hands her a bunch of crazy buffs whenever anyone on the team applies either Glacio Chafe or Havoc Bane. She can hold up to 3 of these buff stacks, but here is the catch. Every character in the party can only contribute 1 stack. So, to unlock the ultimate Exodia buff, you need a team where every single character can trigger these specific effects. Because of this, her absolute best undisputable top-tier team right now is Chisa, Lynae, and Hiyuki. This lineup just makes perfect sense. Chisa is your best friend here because she drops Havoc Bane and gives extra stacks to satisfy Hiyuki's inherent skill. Lynae is basically the ultimate Swiss Army knife for your account, acting as the absolute best choice for Hiyuki. Lynae hands over a massive 39% damage amplification and a 25% bonus specifically to liberation damage. If you don't have Chisa, your next best bet is swapping her out for Morni. Honestly, the damage drop-off really isn't that bad, even though you miss out on one of the inherent skill stacks. Morny paired with Lynae is just a universally busted combo. Morny brings a ridiculous 40% damage boost, speeds up your toon build-up, hands out extra attack buffs from her Echo set, and even keeps you alive with healing and interruption resistance. For a third option, you could run Shorekeeper instead of Morny and swap Lynae out for Jeji. But honestly, Jeji feels pretty awkward here. Hiyuki doesn't care about energy recharge, and she doesn't deal meaningful skill damage, meaning the only thing Jeji really provides is the Glacio damage bonus from her outro. Now, I know some of you are looking for pure, free-to-play, friendly teams. You can run Changli with Verena or Sanhua with Verena, but I have to be completely honest with you guys. These teams hit like wet noodles compared to the premium setups. They honestly just aren't that good, and I really wouldn't recommend them if you want to see Hiyuki shine. The reality is, as a Glacio DPS, she is starving for universal supports, and there just aren't enough Glacio characters in the game yet to give her cheap options. Let's circle back to those buffs from her first inherent skill, because they are juicy. If you get one stack, her Glacio Bite damage gets boosted by 30%, and her crit damage skyrockets by 40%. At 2 stacks every time she applies Glacio Chafe, she gets a whole extra instance of Glacio Bite damage for free. And at 3 stacks, her Glacio Chafe damage gets another fat 30% multiplier. But here is where things get really interesting, and why this character plays differently than what we are used to. Her second inherent skill is called Snowforged Blade. This mechanic dictates that for every 4 seconds Hiyuki is chilling off-field, she gains a stack, capping at 3. These stacks directly buff the damage of her second liberation. What does this mean for us? It means you have to keep her off-field to squeeze out her maximum value, which basically completely kills the quick swap playstyle for her right now. You are going to be playing strict, traditional rotations, but when you do swap off her outro skill is fantastic. It buffs the damage of your other teammates whenever they hit an enemy that has Glacio Chafe on them. So how do we build the Ice Queen? Because almost all of her damage registers as liberation damage, any buff to her ultimate is top tier. Weapons. Her absolute best in slot is her signature weapon, Frostburn. This thing is the Infinity Gauntlet. It gives massive base attack, crit rate, attack, defense ignore, and supercharges her Glacio Chafe damage. It's absurdly strong. Because she needs 0 energy recharge, any ER weapon is basically a paperweight for her. If you don't pull her signature, your next best friends are Emerald of Genesis, Blazing Brilliance, or Red Spring. Incredibly solid runner-ups. Echoes. Do not even look at anything other than the Wishes of Quiet Snowfall set. This set was quite literally custom built for her, and leaves every other option in the dust. It grants a Glacio damage bonus, a massive 25% crit rate, and crucially, gives even more Glacio damage to whatever resonator you swap to next. Stats and talents. For your Echo spread, run a 4-3-3-1-1 setup. Your 4 cost needs to be crit, and your 3 costs should be Glacio damage or pure attack. When upgrading her talents, pump everything into Liberation first, then her Forte, followed by basic attack skill, and lastly her intro. So what is the final word on her pull value? Right now, she is sitting comfortably on the exact same power level as heavy hitters like Aeth and Sigria. Now, Sigria might still have a tiny edge just because she's so cheap to build around. She only needs Chiwan, and she leaves Shorekeeper and Verena free for your other teams. Hiyuki and Aeth, on the other hand, are expensive. They demand 2 limited units to really pop off. Because we lack Glacio DPS characters right now, Hiyuki is pretty much a mandatory pull for most accounts simply to fill that elemental void. When you pair her with Lynae and Chisa, her strength is identical to the top DPS units in the entire game. But beware, Lynae feels practically mandatory right now because Hiyuki has no other proper support. If you don't have Lynae, or if Lynae is locked into a team with Luke or Ameth, Hiyuki might feel a little underwhelming. That is the tough decision you have to weigh. But here is the massive silver lining. Even without a perfectly dedicated support right now, she is already rivaling Ameth and Sigria, which is absolutely mind-blowing. For the time being, running Lynae with any other decent character is more than enough to crush every piece of content the game has to offer. And looking to the future, the writing is on the wall. She is 100% going to get a dedicated support character later down the line, which makes investing in her right now a brilliant long-term play. Once that support drops, she will easily leapfrog the competition and claim the title of the undisputed best DPS in the game. Think about her Echo set. It buffs the Glacio damage of the next resonator you swap to. This is a massive hint. It means Kuro Games is either planning a new support to take Chisa's spot, or they are setting the stage for a mono Glacio dream team where everyone is spreading Glacio Chafe everywhere. There is absolutely no way the developers designed this specific set effect without a grand master plan for the future. There are so many insane possibilities for where this could go. I will be reading all your team ideas and theory crafting down in the comments to see who you are planning to pair Hiyuki with and whether you are going for the premium Lynae setup or a rogue team composition. Until next time, keep grinding, and I'll catch you in the next one.